BIP of Bizarre Interest Productions. Anyone else generally just tired of how certain people who call themselves fans and fair critics of Naruto, and especially Boruto, are just some of the most obnoxious and loud group of closed-minded people whose media literacy is as questionable as their analysis on the female characters that they're supposedly fans of? And don't get me wrong, there's definitely valid criticism out there on how Kishimoto, Kodachi, Ikimoto, and some of the anime team regarding how they could have utilized the female cast more effectively. But with Naruto, we've seen a bunch of bad faith takes come about regarding Sakura and Hinata especially, and right now with Boruto it's become even worse, especially with Sarada discourse, showing just how disgusting a community of a franchise built on endurance and building bonds with others results in some of the most brain-dead takes and blatant misinformation that people enjoy spreading. Talking about Naruto and Boruto content does not do well on the channel, so if you made it this far, type women bashing is dumb, or you can type Sarada did nothing wrong, or you can type Hinata did nothing wrong, or Sakura hate is forced, because all of it is true and we have a lot to get into. So let's get started. Now, originally, I was going to talk about Hinata first because I wrote her part of the script earlier, but screw it. Sarada discourse has got to be some of the most abhorrent things I have seen within the community, to the point where it's generally kind of dehumanizing to witness. And that's before we get into the writing discourse. First off, calling Sarada and Boruto and his dog while having a fan art of a dog with Sarada's eyes, glasses, hair, collar, complete with Boruto holding onto her chain. Y'all don't find this disgusting or disturbing in the slightest? And someone's going to be like, oh, it's nothing but harmless, cute fan art. We've seen Boruto's characters interact with pets and dogs. Okay, so why not just make fan art of Boruto and Sarada as either the same animal or different animals? Or fan art of Boruto and Sarada finding ninja hounds that look similar to them? Or just design Sarada to look like a member of the Inuzuka clan, Alahana, Kiba's sister from part 1. Or Akita, the woman in the scientific ninja duel division in Boruto. No, Sarada had to be the first choice on everyone's radar? Okay, that's not weird or sexist or suspect at all. And I would understand if this came from someone who is a Naruto fan who doesn't like Boruto or just hate anything Naruto related, even if I find it still gross. But if there's someone in the community who did this, it's just even worse. Second of all, we've got, obviously both their genes didn't stand a chance, because why is she genuinely just ugly? You know, for all the accusations that Ikimoto does things with minors despite him taking inspiration from fashion models is far more tame than Rurouni Kenshin's author actually owning inappropriate content with minors, and Kazuaki Kurita being allowed to write from manga 1 after abusing his authority as a teacher, abusing a high school student who suffered years of abuse leading to dissociative disorder and PTSD, to the point One Punch Man's creator called him out and several other authors pulled their works from manga 1's app. But if there's one thing certain Naruto fans have in common, is that either they're obsessed with being hypocrites or obsessed with genetics and saying the most disgusting things about minors. Again, Sarada is 12 to 13 in this image, and yet even certain Naruto fans are focused on how attractive she allegedly looks. And the worst part is, with her two blue vortex design, people constantly try to say that she's sexualized, yet when you point out the double standards with Ino's designs, you'll have people pointing out there was backlash for Ino's designs like 2 decades ago, yet people will still defend Ino's designs in the present day more because Ino's design fits her character, and I don't feel Sarada fits hers because Ino's been confident and girly, while Sarada was more no-nonsense, so it doesn't fit the character, while Ino's clothes are still practical and ninja. Despite the fact that Ino's ponytail is a poor hairstyle choice for a fight, because a person could grab onto it and control your head, gives your opponents a handle, and Sarada's whole outfit is inspired by rebellious teen Kogo fashion, and that she picked her outfit at the same clothing brand as Boruto's because she's been trying to prove his innocence, and she's not a victim of omnipotence like everyone else. But when you point this out, it fits the characterization, people say, oh, it doesn't matter, I just don't like it. Then why was the argument about the characterization if you knew it was flawed? Then you have the people who argue that Ino has a more practical outfit she wore in the War arc, and this is her casual outfit, when Ino was in the Hidan and Kakuzu arc and the Pain arc, while she and her team and her people were fighting 2 members of the Akatsuki. And she still had on the same outfit until the war started, meaning that was her main outfit for the majority of part 2. It really shows just how hypocritical certain Naruto fans can be, because practicality was never a problem with certain fans being this loud and obnoxious until it started with Sarada. And based on what we see in front of Blue Vortex, the jacket hasn't hindered her once, which makes the argument even worse. And I don't even want to hear the heels argument. Mei and Tsunade fought Zetsu's Orochimaru and Madara in heels. And if you say it makes more sense for them to do it because they're older, I would like to remind you all that Sarada is the protagonist after Boruto, who's defeated more Claw Grimes, Shinju, and Mamushi clones, on top of the fact that Sakura also fought Shin in heels. So it's almost like heels never got in the way, and it was a stupid argument to begin with. Sarada being so ugly really does make sense because she's not Sasuke's kid. Yeah, no, the guy didn't confirm Sasuke and Sakura are Sarada's parents, but Karin kept the umbilical cord. And it feels like some Naruto fans are just living in their own headcanons at this point. Also, the whole if Sasuke didn't marry Sakura but Karin instead, Sarada would be better and stronger with bigger chakra reserves. Also, look, do I agree she probably have higher chakra reserves? Yes, everything else though, entirely subjective. To say Sarada would be better doesn't really imply anything. Sarada's issue in the manga was the same as the rest of the next generation in part 1, with Boruto, Kawaki, Naruto, Sasuke, Kara, Code, Damon, and Ada's trio. Then her and Mitsuki were ordered in terms of importance. If Sarada was born under Karin, the timeline would still have the same effect. I guess the change would give Sarada more of a grappler fighting style, but who's to say Sakura wouldn't have raised Karin's daughter like her own, since it's not like she immigrated to the Leaf Village anyway. Karin was a wanted criminal who escaped. So like, what are we talking about? Also, for someone who has low chakra reserve, she's been doing pretty well against all the Shinju she's gone up against. She's defeated the second most Mamushi clones, defeated Ryu on her own after 3 of her allies failed, and she and Konohamaru helped Boruto defeat Hidari. Okay, let's talk about certain Naruto fans when it comes to hypocrisy. After 2014, there's been a rise in people arguing whether or not a female character in an action series is either too strong or doesn't have enough weaknesses, and the consensus seems to be the female character needs to have flaws and not win all the time, but also be allowed to grow and make mistakes, but also get chances to shine, with extreme people on one side being super upset and basically taking any female character's accomplishments and struggles out of context to put down one and praise another. And yes, in Shonen Jump, I agree that the female characters definitely need to be treated better because women write shoujo and magical girls and treat their girls and guys pretty respectfully for the most part, especially when there's a lot of action. And while I have my issues with Sarada, it is obnoxiously infuriating with just how certain people will call themselves Naruto fans or act like they're authorities on Naruto's lore, will lie and spread misinformation just because they forgot about how the Mangekyou Sharingan works or because they hate Boruto in particular. When chapter 20 of Two Blue Vortex dropped, not even before she got to use it in the fight, you had certain fans, and before anyone says they're not a fan, yes, Naruto and Boruto as well as other manga had people who claim to be fans but really just hate it, yet continues to keep with the series and act like they know everything about it, and yet cherry pick everything to make it sound worse than it actually is, which means that they're just toxic fans. Yet, when chapter 32 dropped, I didn't get a chance to make a review on it because Sarada reduces discourse, rolls like bees to a honey, when Shikamaru wanted Sarada to finish off the rest of the Mamushi clones after the rest of the characters have been exhausted, or spend time destroying the rest of the horde so she can easily get rid of the ones that were remaining and stop the multiplication. Yet, she collapsed from overuse of her Mangekyou Sharingan, and everyone with a baggage claim went to call her useless, decided to blame her for the situation, or say that she's weak despite none of this being her fault. Now, yes, Shikamaru did tell her to stand down, but he said that because so far there were no reports of civilian injuries, and yet all the actual damages were limited to minor property damage because based on the intel they got, it seemed like they weren't going to target anyone who was their target or victim unless they provoked them. However, he told her to report in right away if there's any change while he was heading to the interrogation room because of Kobu had summoned him, and yet despite Shikamaru's orders to have Inojin relay the locations to him or take over command himself, Kashin Koji was the one who told Inojin to release the mind transmission formation, so Sarada had no way of contacting Shikamaru, especially when in chapter 31, both Sarada and Delta saw that the Mamushi clones were starting to turn on each other and were going to start injuring civilians or get close to hurting them in the weight of their irrational state. And while you could argue she could have used different jutsu to the fact that she actively used her MS to try to save numerous people in the wake of harm, that allowed her to neutralize the threat before other people could get hurt, yet because of her limitations with the technique, she still needed Delta's help. And just like the first time she used her MS when she was bleeding, only this time, and similar to Sasuke after he uses MS against Killer B, twice she started to get blind, which anyone who has read Naruto Shippuden's manga has seen that when Sasuke used his against Killer B, he ended up with blurry vision during the middle of the fight. Hell, the moment she collapsed, Shikamaru immediately recognized that she most likely used Ohirume when they were offline. Yet you still got glue-eating IQ self-proclaimed Naruto fans who can't recognize or realize that if Koji had just followed the plan instead of trying to get rid of Kobu, Sarada could have warned Shikamaru about this so that he could come up with a different countermeasure or save her MS for when they go all out together. And the story downright tells you that this would not have happened if Koji didn't end the transmission and communication, yet we're still blaming Sarada with the unfunny and outdated Uchiha genes can only do so much against Sakura's usefulness, and Sakura gave birth to Uchiha they needed glasses joke that hasn't been funny in ages. And going back to that chapter 20 post, the same person who said that it was bad writing and Sarada was too overpowered because she didn't have any weaknesses using the Mangekyou Sharingan, not only got proven wrong in the next chapter where she used it to defeat Ryu, she collapsed on the ground exhausted. But this time she didn't have the energy or the stamina to use it twice in the same day, only for said critical fans to be completely hypocritical and make fun of her for having this weakness, despite the fact that this weakness has been something that she and Sasuke have shared ever since they got it. So it's bad writing because people were too impatient to see the drawbacks, but now it's bad writing and she's useless for having reasonable drawbacks and flaws? Look, I understand when it comes to shonen being a female character means you can't win in terms of critical discussion, but you see what I'm talking about when it comes to hypocrisy. She has flaws and struggles, and yet people still make fun of her, and yet when she accomplishes something, either people downplay to continue with the useless accusations, or say it's bad writing. And you can say, oh, it's just one person, but Again, the loudest voices always end up like Mamushi, having a bunch of brainless takes from an irrational mob of followers who just parrot and repeat anything no matter how fundamentally flawed the argument is, or are willing to spread misinformation and their own lack of media literacy. And yet people reward these media grifters instead of actually listening to people who know what they're talking about. And the question for you guys is it misogyny, bad media literacy, bad faith Boruto hate, bad faith Sarada hate, or the worst representations of proof Naruto fans can't read? I'll leave that for you to decide. Now, this is where I was going to go to lead off into part 2, because I thought the original version of this video went on too long. But I did say I was going to talk about Hinata, but like, I don't know if it's an AI cover, Himawari, or cosplay, but world's #1 Boruto hater admitted to wanting to go past any base with a minor. Well, half of that claim that some Boruto haters are either pedos is correct. Speaking of which, I don't know what be going on with some Boruto or Naruto fans, but this need to constantly crap on one Naruto franchise heroine to hype up another has been old forever. For reasons that utterly confuse me, some Himawari and Sarada fans go after each other, some Sumire and Sarada fans go after each other, editing Sumire to kick Himawari? Like, what are we doing, y'all? Not only is this stupid, this is canonically not true. Sakura constantly encourages Hinata to confess to Naruto in the last, and for the last isn't canon fans, Sakura was actively healing Hinata from her injuries with pain. Sumire and Sarada have been friends at the academy, have worked together before they split up, and yes, they have a crush on the same guy, but they got over that drama and kept their friendship. Heck, the first interaction Sarada and Himawari had in Two Blue Vortex was Himawari going to heal her after she got sniped in the arm by the main villain after coming this close to saving her father. How is it the characters in the official material get along better than their fan bases? Oh, and remember how certain Naruto fans kept trying to label Hinata as a pick-me because according to some of them, the attributes of being a pick-me are being male-centered, spending her entire life stalking Naruto from adolescence into teenage years, despite the fact she never left the village after a mission or the exams, while Naruto and Jiraiya were traveling for at least 2 years, and she pretty much forced herself onto him despite the fact he fell in love with her during the last. Someone pointed this out, but I don't get how Hinata gets called a pick-me when she's never been rude to or put down a woman. The only people she's fought against or challenged have been men. Yeah, when you look at the manga, Hinata's really only fought men, but between like Neji, who tried to kill her and blames her for a scenario that resulted in his father sacrificing his life for the sake of the village, despite the fact that the whole reason that happened was because the fourth Raikage faked a peace treaty to unite the Cloud and the Leaf as an excuse to kidnap her while she was asleep despite being at the age of 3 years old, is not something that was her fault. Especially since after her father killed the head Cloud Ninja, the Cloud were the ones who told Leaf they have to give Hiyashi's head or risk a war, and Hizashi was the one willing to sacrifice himself to stop the war. And Kakashi and Yamato both called out the Raikage for causing that incident and having to sacrifice their own people to avoid a war that they caused. And yet Neji was the one who had to realize that instead of blaming Hinata for his fate and the Branch family, realizing that that was not the right choice. You can't even use the argument against Pain, Toneri, or Momoshiki either. Pain was trying to kill the guy who she fell in love with after him and the rest of the Six Paths were already gone ahead and basically wrecked most of the village. And while she was at match, at least it led to the Six Tails and Eight Tails weakening Pain before Naruto was able to regain his resolve thanks to Minato regaining his consciousness to come up with a solution to beat him. Meanwhile, Toneri kidnapped her sister Hanabi and took her sister's eye to use it Tensegon. Then in order to try to get her back, Hinata faked being in love with Toneri in order to get closer to her sister and try to free her herself. So how was she a pick-me when she's literally using deception against her allies to try and help another girl she just happens to be related to? Then we get Momoshiki, and Momoshiki's actions were responsible for having Naruto sacrifice himself to protect the rest of the village. And naturally, she will try to fight the person trying to kidnap her husband. Heck, the biggest argument I hear is Hinata giving Naruto a healing potion while Kiba is back there on a stretcher. In the damn same chapter and episode where people get this take from, we literally see her approaching the medical ninja specifically with a healing salve for Kiba and Akamaru. And Kiba tells her, nice of you to worry about everyone else, but save some of that concern for yourself. What makes people taking this out of context even worse is that Naruto fans eat misinformation as fast as manosphere podcasters booking women on their show to make fun of them. And if you've watched the episode or reread the manga, specifically chapter 77, the reason Naruto got this illusion from Hinata that quickly was because after Naruto used the Uzumaki Barrage and defeated Kiba and was declared the winner, he ran upstairs first and passed Hinata, and she barely had any time to react before ultimately offering the medicinal cream. And even then, she could barely say his name in time enough to do it. Then, immediately in the next chapter, we see her offer the medicine for both Kiba and Akamaru, before Kiba tells her to save it in case of her future fights, which could have included either Neji, Lee, Dosu, or Gaara, all of whom are rightfully dangerous. You can't even say she was putting down other men because she tried to help out both her teammate and her crush. So basically, I'm hearing one of four things. Either we're saying it's misogynistic for a female character to have a crush on a male character, despite that not affecting any female character in a negative way, and even her female mentor supporting it. 2, no one who has this as a favorite manga decided to either rewatch or reread any parts of the anime or manga to actually see whether or not she actually wanted to help out her teammate. 3, according to men, a pick-me is a woman who has a male friend and also has a male crush on a friend that were forced to fight each other without her involvement. And 4, one of the most popular manga in the world has a community that is more blind than the goth girl in Boruto, the Rain Village members of Team Oboro, or the Naruto character Tobitake Tombo, who inspired Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen. And say what you want about Gege Katame, but at least his media literacy is somewhat better than people in the community. So what is the biggest takeaway from this? Look, Naruto and Boruto fans, some of y'all really need to stop falling for misinformation and just siding with the dumbest takes in order to seem like you actually remember the series when you don't. Reread the manga, check out some stuff from the anime and the manga to double check your sources, and don't be so dickish and hateful. Y'all are falling for your own genjutsu instead of actually disproving it. Especially when you're fighting against the lore of the series you should be better familiar with than the people who blindly hate both Naruto and Boruto. The female characters in Naruto and Boruto may be flawed, but they deserve better analysis from their own fans than the type of low IQ garbage AI slop that you guys tend to trick yourselves into following and believing. But thanks for watching. Civilly tell me your thoughts in the comments below. Agree or disagree. Thanks for watching again, and BIP of Bizarre Interest Productions, signing off.